Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Calls. This is the 2026 Valspar DFS Tactics show. Per usual on a Wednesday night, we're going to take our final look at the forecast, see if a wave advantage has developed down in Palm Harbor for the Valspar Championship. We'll see if one has, who the players are in the good half of the draw. We're going to take a look at my mixed condition model that I've made for the Valspar Championship and the Copperhead course. We'll look at my rankings. We'll make some lineups, and we're going to cover the 2026 Picks Challenge. So we got a lot to do. Let's get into it. All statistics provided tonight and moving forward are from both Fantasy National and the Rabbit Hole over at BetSperts. The Rabbit Hole is acquiring or merging with Fantasy National, so I'm in the process of migrating all of my files over to the Rabbit Hole. It's a long, tedious process, but making some headway on it. But go check out the Rabbit Hole. You will not regret checking them out and subscribing to them. It has everything you need to make the right wagers every week, optimize your lineups, has a tournament simulator, a DFS lineup optimizer, everything you need. Go check out the Rabbit Hole. In the description of the video, there are links to all the social media. First off, my X and Instagram, where normally I put research out every Monday regarding the tournament of the week, some course info, patterns of previous winners. I did post something for the Valspar, although it was only 2 criteria. This tournament is not very consistent year over year for champions, but I did post that over to social media. So if you want to see the weekly research that I do every week on the PGA Tour, give me a follow at your preferred social media site. X is also where I place my weekly betting cards and top player usage in the DFS contest I play that comes out every Wednesday after the DFS Tactics show, so that'll be out later this evening. You want to see the players I've wagered with my own money and the players I'm using most often in my lineups, give me a follow over at X. Lastly, for social media, Gabe's Angels in the description. He writes a great article called The Fringe. Would not recommend it if I did not believe in it. I've enjoyed working with him the past few years. So make sure you are subscribed to his article. He continues to update you throughout the week with his own version of course history, recent form, projected ownerships, all of that. And follow him over on social media because that is where we put our detailed write-ups for the 2026 Picks Challenge. He has a commanding 10-point lead on me. It's not been a good showing for yours truly, so I'm going to try and close that gap starting this week at the Valspar. So make sure you are following all of the socials. And then lastly, for this intro, we're live. Chat's open. I see a few of you in there. I'll get to you as soon as the intro's over. But jump into chat. I have a poll question typed up. It is March Madness based, so would love to hear the community's thoughts on that. And then for the Valspar, who's your winner? Who are you targeting? Who are you staying away from? What kind of lineups are you building? All of that, anything and everything. Put your thoughts and opinions in the chat. Would love to be able to interact with you all. As you can see, the fandom is on. So if you want to talk a little smack with your favorite team, by all means. This is going to be on until they lose. If they lose, hopefully that's next year, but we'll see. But anything that you want to put in chat, particularly with the Valspar or with March Madness, put your thoughts and opinions in there. If you're not able to catch the show live, put your thoughts and opinions into the comments. I'll always get to those as well. So let's get into it. Let's figure out our strategies and our tactics for the 2026 Valspar. We're going to start, as we always do, on a Wednesday evening with the Super Forecast over at Windfinder. Good evening, John. Good evening, Phil. Good to see you in chat this evening. Much appreciated. Hopefully you all are ready for the Valspar and or March Madness. And speaking of, I'm going to go ahead and post that poll question. Even though we are covering the Valspar tonight, I do want to have a little bit of March Madness talk if people are open to it. So the poll question, and it was the easiest that I could do to get 4 options or answers. Which 1 seed do you think has the toughest path to the Final Four? So would love to hear the community's thoughts on that. I certainly have my own opinion, being a college basketball fan. John says, "Hey Nick, how you doing, John? Hopefully you had a good Players Championship. Mine was a disaster. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I played all of the Colin Morikawa, and that blew up in my face. So we're going to try and recover this week for the Valspar. Betting big this week, homie. My betting card is a lot smaller than it was last week for the Players. Having said that, with this being March Madness, I have, I actually run the bracket challenge for, you know, my local area, I suppose, former coworkers and family members and all that. So decent sized one, if I do say so myself, usually 100 plus entries. So some of my allocation of wagering money has went into bracket filling this week, but I certainly put in a small handful of wagers for the week. I don't do anything with first round leader, but I know that's a popular market, and you can find some interesting or good odds there. But I don't really partake in the first round leader market. You're saying Justin Lauer, okay? Just out of curiosity, where is he, or when does he tee off? First. That makes a lot of sense. But when we look at the forecast for the Valspar, according to Windfinder, and again, I only use Windfinder. You may have different sources that give you differing information than this, but it looks like the morning, both days, have it a little bit tougher than the afternoon. And I say that because the gustier winds seem to be in the morning. Now again, this is what this source says. If that doesn't turn out to be true, then so be it. And certainly I was completely wrong in the preference of AM or Thursday AM, Friday PM at the Players last week, when the Thursday PM and Friday AM had a pretty significant advantage. I believe it was more than one shot, maybe 1.5 shots. And everything the night before led us to believe that the Thursday AM, Friday PM had the favor. So I'm not a meteorologist, but this is just kind of what I see. It does look like the gustier winds are going to be in the morning, at least according to Windfinder. But I wish you luck, Phil, on the Justin Lauer first round leader. I don't have any rooting interest in that market, so I hope it hits for you. But I don't see a wave advantage for the Valspar. Like I said, both mornings look like they're going to be the toughest of each day. Now, the wind gradually increases in terms of sustained, but the gusts actually die down both days. So, the best wind of the week kind of looks like Friday PM, but it looks like they have the gustier winds on Thursday. So this is all evened out. I am not factoring in a wave advantage in any of my decisions this week. To me, I'm just playing the guys who I think will play the Copperhead course the best. And, if you see something different, by all means, use this information as you see fit. But I don't see a wave advantage for the Valspar Championship. And then if we zoom out and take a look at the weekend, looks actually pretty pristine. Chilly by Florida standards, I would imagine, this time of year. But you can see, Thursday and Friday looks like quite a bit of wind. And then it looks like it dies off. Saturday looks very, very calm. Sunday looks very calm. Even Monday looks very calm, so there's no system or storm that's coming in. It looks like the wind picks up again on Tuesday down in Palm Harbor, but if our players can get through Friday, it looks like it's all systems go for the weekend. So like I said, I don't see anything in terms of a wave advantage. Use this how you see fit, especially considering I was way off last week. With that, we're going to go over to the rabbit hole. The big field change today, if you have not seen, is Akshay Bhatia. Akshay Bhatia is not in the field anymore. He was priced at $10,000. And just for your information, as the viewer, I made my mixed condition model last night. So while Akshay Bhatia is not in my rankings, his replacement is also not in my rankings. I just want to put that out there for you as the viewer. Sam Ryder is the player that has replaced Akshay. Sam Ryder is nowhere in my rankings, so be mindful of that. Akshay Bhatia, is not playing. Might go nuts and go all in on Woodland and DFS. Oof, I don't know about that one. He's not been the best lately. 120th out of 130 something. And I have my concerns because of the irons, at least in the past 6 months. What's he's done in 2026? Let's narrow that in. Not a whole lot better. Gary Woodland, no. Topeka, Kansas. I did not think he was from Florida. Topeka, Kansas. So I'm afraid I cannot agree with the sentiment of going all in on Gary Woodland there, Phil. I'm not going to do much of a review. We took a look at wind performance Monday night, and it's only going to apply to the first 2 days. So let's just go ahead and get into the mixed condition model that I've built for the Copperhead course this week. It's a big mixed condition model, 13 different metrics. And I'm going to try something that I used to do at Fantasy National. I'm going to see how it does over at the Rabbit Hole. We're going to start with 15% in good drive percentage on difficult and very difficult scoring conditions. I don't think it's any surprise by this point in the week that you should be focused on accurate players. Distance does not really matter here. Players have to be in the fairway. You would like them to hit greens, but the first step in hitting greens is being in the fairway. So a heavy emphasis on accuracy. And I didn't use driving accuracy because the players are clubbing down quite a bit, not all the time, but quite a bit, and are still struggling. So I've never really been the biggest fan of driving accuracy or fairways hit. I'm much more like this good drives metric where players are either hitting the fairway or still hitting the green from rough or fairway bunker or whatever. 15% when it's difficult. I don't think it's any surprise or any shock that we are going to be looking at a lot of difficult metric or using the difficult filter tonight for the Copperhead course. 20% in approach. This might be a little bit heavy, but I am just focused on the iron players this week and some specific iron players, as you'll see here momentarily. 20% strokes gained approach with the 15% in good drives, just the guys who are going to hit their irons very, very well at a very tough course. That's what I want to see this week. 10% in hitting greens when hitting greens is difficult. I don't think this is much of a surprise either. Hitting the green here at the Copperhead course is difficult. Hitting greens is a skill set that some players seem to just excel at and some struggle with. So who can hit greens when hitting a green is difficult? 5% each in 150 to 200 procs and 200 plus procs. Ideally, I would have used 175 to 200. But in the Rabbit Hole, they don't have 175 to 200 except for fairway and rough. And I wanted to look at it overall. So there's still a few approach shots from 150 to 175 here. Not as many as I would like. As you can see, that's down 9% from the average PGA Tour event. I'd want the 175 to 200, but it's not going to be perfect. So 150 to 200, 5% there, 5% in 200 plus. You get a lot. of 200 plus approaches. Even though this course isn't long by total yardage standpoint, there are a bunch of dog legs and forced layups where players are hitting irons off tees and are left with, a pretty good mid to long iron into a green. 32% of your approach shots are from 200 plus. So that is why I have both of these proximities in the mixed condition model. I kept it at 5% on each, thinking that the 150 to 200 was definitely still going to be a factor. And to be honest, I kind of ran out of percent. If anything, I would put a little bit extra weighting in the 200 plus. That's just me. 5% around the green when or on long rough. The around the green is I can't say very easy. It is easy here at the Copperhead course. And it's used quite a bit because greens get missed. But I don't want to overweight it because it is fairly easy around here. 12-13% easier from the rough, especially. Scrambling is much easier from the rough. Proximity around the green, shot percentage, like half of your shots around the green are from the rough. But even so, like around the green overall is easier. Scrambling and around the green from short grass is easier. Sand, a little bit different, but of a story. But there's not very many shots that come from sand when you're talking about around the green. So I wanted to use what's most likely going to happen, which is long rough situations. And the rough is long around Innisbrook. It's about 3-4 inches long. So didn't overweight it. 5% around the green on long rough. 5% putting on Poa Trivialis. Even though putting is a very big deal here at the Copperhead course, I just don't like using putting as a statistic in mixed condition models because it's such a fickle statistic. A player can be hot one week and not the other. I'm just looking basically for Poa Trivialis specialists, but I didn't want to overweight it all that much. Hey, good evening, Joanne. Thanks for jumping in chat. Much appreciated. Hopefully you had a good players, much better than mine, although that's not a very high bar to cross. Hopefully you're ready for March Madness, ready for the Valspar. It's good to see you in chat this evening. Very much appreciated. 5% birdies or better when scoring is difficult, very difficult. Look, pars are really good scores around the Copperhead course, but even par is not going to win the championship. The winning score is going to get to 10, 11, 12 under. Burns got to 17 under because he put the ever-living daylights out. Guys are going to have to make a few birdies here and there. So who can still find a few birdies even when it's difficult and very difficult? This isn't the U.S. Open. Even par is not going to finish in the top 5. So you got to have to find a few birdies somewhere. But obviously the most important part of scoring here at Innisbrook and the Copperhead course is bogey avoidance. So we've got 10% in bogey avoidance when it's difficult and very difficult. And to finish off the mixed condition model, we have 10% each in par 3s and par 4s, split out 5% in 176 to 200 and 201 to 225. Instead of looking at par 3 performance when par 3s are difficult, I just wanted to see who has played these lengths of par 3s the best so far in 2026. The shortest par 3 here at the Copperhead course is 195. Having said that, there is some data from years past in 150 to 175. So they do move tees and pins around. So I am going to be a little bit light on that, and there is a par 3 that's 235 yards. So when this plays to its full length, I'll be weak to that in the mixed condition model. But for the most part, this is where the majority of your strokes gained in par 3s come in or at the Copperhead course. And I used to do this a lot over in Fantasy National. This is still fairly new in the rabbit hole. So I am Going to see how this performs this week with these specific lengths. Like I said, I use this quite a bit at Fantasy National. It's still new at the rabbit hole. I'm going to see how it does because I have not had as much success as I would like looking at like par 3 scoring when par 3s are difficult, par 4 scoring when par 4s are difficult, etc. Good evening, P. Thanks for jumping in chat. Much appreciated. Must be getting serious if Nick is in the Ducat. It's March Madness, baby. You got to represent the fandom. I do it every single year, and it's going to stay on next week at Houston. Hopefully the following week at the Valero. This stuff, at least on stream, isn't coming off until Duke loses, which again, I'm hoping is next year sometime, but we'll see. It's good to see you in chat, P. Very, very much appreciated. So that's why I'm using the specific individual ranges on these par 3s and 4s. Majority of your par 3s fall to this range. Majority of the par 4s fall to this range. There is one par 4 that measures 350 to 400. I'll be weak to that. Or if they move tees and pins around, like if the 420 yard plays shorter than 400 on a day. Let's see. That's really about the only one. There's a 430, but that's what I have for a mixed condition model this evening for the Valspar and the Copperhead course. We'll move to Excel and the reveal of my rankings. Again, a reminder for returning viewers, for your information if you're a new viewer, my rankings are based on 3 criteria. The first is the rabbit hole rank. The rabbit hole will spit out a numerical ranking based on the mixed condition model we just talked about, the metrics, percentages, and all that. Rabbit hole will rank players based on that. Course value is an attempt at giving a player a numerical value at how well they have played that course. I only go back the past 5 years, so this is only 5 years worth of data. The lower the number, the better. You can see somebody like Xander, who's 3 for 3 in the past 5 years and has been nothing outside of T12. You see his course value is exceptional, whereas somebody like Andrew Putnam, who is 0 for 4 or 0 for 3 in his past 5 trips here, or in the past 5 years, has a really high course value. So that's the second part of the rankings. The third part, we are playing DFS. We're trying to find unique options off of our fellow contestants. Projected ownerships, and these are from Gabe, they are a factor into my rankings. And this is all a mathematical computation, so I'm not factoring in any wind performance or half of the draw if there was a wave advantage. Again, I don't see one, but just giving you the ins and outs of what you see here and what is going on behind why these players are ranked where they are. And again, you have to understand that this is a mathematical formula. It's not going to understand like Rory last week, who had a bad back. Austin Smotherman had some injury concerns, coming into last week, Jack Knapp, etc. It's only looking at the numbers. It's not looking at the risk there either. So be mindful of that. But my rankings for the Valspar this week, Austin Smotherman is my number 1 player, number 1 per the mixed condition model. Fairly low owned, considering all the ownership that's gravitating up top. So, compared to, 22 and 24 and 25%, 15%'s quote a discount. It's not at his area of the price board, but when you consider everything, it's a discount. So that's why he is pretty squarely number 1. Rio hits Hatsune number 2. Corey Connors, Victor Hovland, and Sahith Theegala round out my top 5. Xander, Nick Taylor. Chat was really big on Nick Taylor Monday night. Seems like I have come around on that. At least the mathematical formula likes Nick Taylor a lot. Matt Fitzpatrick, 6,800. Zach Blair is 9th. Not in love with that. And Mac Meisner is 10th. Not in love with Zach Blair being in my top 10. He hasn't been great around the Copperhead course. He's getting helped, obviously, by the fact that he is very unique compared to everyone else that is in my top 10 other than maybe Meisner. But even the mixed condition model didn't mind him putting him in the top 15. His irons have been fairly solid so far in 2026. He's been very good from 200 plus procs, or with 200 plus procs, but he's really struggled on par threes, and I worry about that for him this week. Considering there are 5 par threes, I think they're going to play an outsized importance this week. I only was able to put 5% in each of these. I would have liked to have done more, but again, I just wanted to focus on a lot of the accuracy. But not in love with Zach Blair being 9th. I would not have him 9th. Mac Meisner I would not have in my top 10 either. The irons have been good, sure, but when it's difficult, very difficult, he has kind of struggled to keep the ball in front of him. He can get a little bit wayward. He does avoid bogeys well enough when it's difficult, at least in relation to this field. I don't have a problem with Meisner being high in my rankings. I wouldn't have him in my top 10, maybe top 20. I'm actually pretty high on Brooks and a few others as we go down. But otherwise, my top 8 really don't have any issue. You could always argue the ordering of said players, but Smotherman, number 1 iron player in this field, number 1 at hitting greens, number 1 bogey avoider. He's been solid. He's been more than solid. He's been great to start 2026. Same with Rio Hitsatsune. He's been great. Corey Connors has played really, really well around here. Victor's the defending champion, still hitting his irons great. So I don't really have an issue with my top 8. You can always argue ordering. And then I would drop Blair and Meisner out of my top 10 if I was just blindly ranking. I would definitely put Brooks higher. And probably one other person we'll talk about as we go through the price board. So enough rambling. Let's sort on said price board. Figure out where our fellow contestants seem to be going at various areas of the price board and how we're going to maneuver around them. With Akshay's withdrawal at 10,000, we now only have 2 players in the 10Ks. It's Xander at 10.9 and Victor at 10.4. And you see Akshay Bhatia's withdrawal has dispersed this ownership in both directions. Fitzpatrick's getting a lot of love. Bridgman's getting a whole lot of love. And even Xander and Victor are picking up more ownership because of Akshay's withdrawal. Akshay, I imagine, would have probably eaten, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 18%. I do think he would have been the pivot in this area of the price board. But the fact that he's not here just means a lot of ownership is coalescing up here at the very top of the price board. In the 10Ks, I'm playing both of these players. That said, one of them is a pretty big fade for me. Like I said, I want to make it clear I am playing both of these players, but I'm going to play Victor Hovland pretty sparingly. And you're looking at me probably going, why? He's 4th in the rankings. He's the defending champion. His irons are great. He's the number 1 player from 150 to 200. Gets plenty of birdies when it's difficult. Doesn't even have a bad statistic across here. Like, this is his worst, the long par 3s. I'll tell you why. And it's something that is a little bit hidden in terms of his performance. If we sort on salary, Victor, in the past 2 months or so, month and a half, look at his off the tee. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. Now, his irons have been scorching hot. I mean, in fuego. And we expect that from Victor. So I think the irons are bailing him out with this off the tee. He's lost some distance as well, but he's really kind of hitting some foul balls. Is there a way I can look at off the tee? Like, I wish I was a little bit more familiar with the rabbit hole. Like, accuracy 63% is fine. He's actually losing distance a little bit negative in terms of against the. I'm assuming this is the PGA. This might be. Let's do the last 3 months. Well, that didn't work. Okay. Like I said, I have some concerns with Victor, and this is a course that you're not going to be able to recover very well if you're not putting yourself in the fairway routinely. Yes, you can hit one wide every once in a while, but this course will punish you. Lots of foul balls end up in the water here. Exactly. That's my thinking, P. Again, like I said, this isn't a full fade. I am going to play him a couple times. It is Victor Hovland. He's one of the best players, arguably in this field, especially when he is right. I'm just concerned here. I'm just concerned with the off the tee. And I don't think the irons are going to save him if he ends up hitting one or two more foul balls than he needs to here. Good evening, Echoes. Thanks for jumping to chat. Much appreciated. Let's take down the 200K. After my Players Week, I'm happy to make money back. How about that? We're going to start with that, and then we'll worry about how much profit, because the Players was horrible for me. But it's good to see you in chat, Echoes. Very much appreciated. So there's my concern with Victor. And that's why I am going to play him very, very sparingly. I will play Xander. It's fine. Being the second most projected owned player on the slate kind of gives me a little bit of pause. But a lot of the reason for fading Victor, other than the off the tee concerns, is you can't play everybody. So you're going to have to kind of take a stand somewhere. And I'm just going to take a stand that Victor Hovland has a bad driving week and it costs him. This is very dangerous. I wrote this over on Gabe's social media page. I am not confident. I am scared to fade Victor Hovland, but you got to plant your flag somewhere. So I'm going to play just a very little as Victor. I'm going to be well under the 24%. Like I said, I have him in maybe 2 or 3 of the mini lineups I play. I will play a little bit of Xander. I'll probably be right at 25%, maybe a little bit higher, but not much. So that's how I see the 10Ks. Moving to the 9s, Fitz, fine. He has not the best history here, which can give you a little bit of pause. He has a top 5 and 2 missed cuts, but hard to argue with the form that he's in. Finishing runner-up at the Players, top 5 in approach. The 150 and 200 plus procs is great. He plays these difficult par 4s very, very well. I like Fitz. I'm going to be a little bit overweight on Fitz. If he doesn't play well, I'll lose. But I'm hoping, and even though Gabe has him at 23%, I'm hoping that Xander, Victor, and especially Jacob Bridgman, and maybe even Justin Thomas, a little bit under him, really soak up a lot of the ownership, especially from Akshay's withdrawal. I'm hoping I get a Fitzpatrick under 20%. That's what I'm kind of going for. If it doesn't happen, oh well. But I'm playing a little bit of game theory with that a little bit, and hoping that Fitz kind of gets squeezed out by our fellow contestants. So I like Fitz. If he's truly 23% or so, it's not great, but I still have no issue playing him. I think he'll be fine this week. Bridgman, one of the tournament favorites. 30% is pretty ugly, and even though I'm not calling for his withdrawal like Colin did last week, we saw the danger of playing the most popular player on the slate. So there is an argument to avoid the highest owned player on the slate just out of principle. Again, I'm not saying Jacob Bridgman's going to withdraw or anything, but Colin Morikawa was a very, very rude awakening for a lot of people, yours truly included. Don't get me wrong, I'm playing Bridgman, but I'm much higher on Fitzpatrick, hoping that the ownership is quite a bit less than Bridgman. I have wagered Jacob Bridgman to win, so that tells you I think he's got a really good chance this week. But for DFS, there's quite a bit that can go wrong. So I'm going to be a little under 20%, I think, on Bridgman. I think I'm somewhere in that 14 to 18% on Bridgman, so about half of what his projected ownership is. Justin Thomas, fine. Again, getting some attention after his I can't call it breakout performance, after his stellar performance at the Players, after his horrendous performance at the API. So Justin Thomas is a popular player. He's also been very good around the Valspar 5 for 5 the past 5 years. I don't think anything outside of a top 25. He's just been great here. He loves this course. I imagine he'll probably be a little bit more popular than 19%. That would be my guess. But it's fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's fine. If you could tell me where Patrick Cantlay is, that'd be great. Because I was pretty high on him for like full season type stuff. He's just not been there. No idea. He's never played this course. Or at least he hasn't in the past 5 years. No thanks on Patrick Cantlay. No thanks on Ben Griffin. Ben Griffin's really struggled to start 2026. Spieth rated out well for me, but this is another guy I'm just not playing. Much like Victor, even though I'm playing a little bit of Victor, I'm not playing any Spieth. This is, you got to plant your flag somewhere. So this is another player that I'm just going to be out on this week. And Brooks is getting a lot of attention in the lower nines. I wish I could fade Brooks. I can't. His tee to green so far has been phenomenal. Second behind Austin Smotherman, who we'll talk about in the mid sevens. In terms of iron play, the putter hadn't been great, but it's starting to show signs of life with the new Spider putter. Just outside the top 10 in both of the proximities. Very good around the green. The one thing with Brooks so far is that the par threes haven't been good. It's a little bit concerning, but I'm going to play my fair share of Brooks, and I'm going to play my fair share of Corey Connors. So, wish I could get off this chalk here. I just can't, mainly because I don't like someone we'll talk about here in a moment. But I'm going to play plenty of Brooks, plenty of Corey Connors. I'm going to be quite a bit overweight on Matt Fitzpatrick. So, that's the way I see the 9Ks. Overweight, underweight. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm playing him, but, if you're not a big Justin Thomas believer, I can give you plenty of reasons to get away. If you're a big Justin Thomas believer, if you are a big Justin Thomas believer, I can give you plenty of reasons to target him this week. Like I said, I just, it's fine. No thanks on Cantlay. No thanks on Griffin. Spieth is my bold fade of the week. You can't play everybody. Moving down into the eights. Mention how I'm not playing Nikolai Højgaard. He's only played here once, so I don't want to knock him too much. But it was really bad. Really, really bad. This just doesn't feel like a good course for him conceptually. He needs to hit driver, hit it hard. I don't know. Sawgrass I didn't think fit him either, and he played fairly well last week, so maybe he's just in great form and I need to start paying attention more to it. But this is another player that I'm just not there with this week. Par threes have been fine. He's been really good at the par fours. Gets birdies when it's difficult. I don't know. Like I said, he can hit it a little wayward too. Not the best bogey avoider, particularly when it's difficult. So there was enough here to scare me away. Whoops, sorry. There was enough here to scare me away, even though he rated out so high. Tagala, fine, very popular. I'll play him a little bit, but this is more of a fade for me. I wish I could get off the Rio Hitsatsune chalk, but I targeted Rio Hitsatsune all week. From the word go, Rio was the guy I kind of looked at. He was my first wager Monday morning when the outrights and the markets came out. Really like Rio Itsatsune this week, so a lot of the reason why I'm not playing Nikolai and Sahith and JJ Spawn, I'm just eating this chalk here. Nick Taylor, I was not keen on Nick Taylor until chat kind of mentioned him Monday night, and then dug into his numbers. Nick Taylor hadn't missed a cut this year. I didn't know that, but he hadn't missed a cut this year. Now, nothing's been spectacular. Most of his finishes are in between like T28 and T42, but he hadn't missed a cut yet. He's just been good. Not spectacular, just good. We all know they can catch lightning in a bottle, so I'm going to play a little bit of Nick Taylor. He is a little bit popular, but just be mindful of that. And then in the eights, look, people have asked me about Max Homa for a little while. There's something going on with Max. I think he's starting to turn the corner. He's starting to play pretty well. He made a bunch of birdies at Sawgrass. He also made a bunch of bogeys at Sawgrass. I wouldn't be surprised to see Max Homa at the top page of a leaderboard come Sunday fairly soon. I don't know if it's this week, but he's starting to play a lot better. So be on the lookout for Max Homa in the coming weeks. So that's how I see the eights. Playing all of the Rio Itsatsune. I'm probably going to be 60 to 75% Rio Itsatsune. I'll play quite a bit of Nick Taylor. I'm going to be overweight on Nick Taylor as well. I'm sprinkling just a little sprinkle of Wyndham Clark. And I'm going to play Max Homa quite a little bit. I can't say quite a bit, a little bit. Moving into the upper sevens. A lot of people want to like Aaron Rai here. Much like Nikolai Højgaard, he's only played here once. It was horrendous. Conceptually, this is a good fit for Aaron Rai. Think about another course that plays very, very similarly to Copperhead. That's Sedgefield. Aaron Rai won the Wyndham. He likes this kind of golf. Maybe having seen this place once before, he's a little bit more comfortable with it. But just telling you, he was really bad in his one try here. But conceptually, it's a very good fit, so I don't blame you if you're going to look to Aaron Rai. But at his same price, I'm rather go to Ricky Castillo. Ricky Castillo won down in Puerto Rico, made the cut at the Players. He's in great form right now, whereas Aaron Rai, he's been kind of so-so, really, if you think about it. Misses the cut at the Players. Top 25's the Cognizant. Top 30's the Genesis. Not a whole lot here in terms of great finishes. The irons haven't even been Aaron Rai-like. So at the same price, I would just much rather go to Ricky Castillo. That's what I want. So I'll play a little bit of Aaron Rai, but I'm more focused on Ricky Castillo at 79. Smalley's worth a casual look, but he's been pretty bad around here. In the mid-sevens, I will tell you Thorbjorn Olesen was my last cut. So I told you all last week that, who was my last cut? Sahith Theegala, and he ended up playing very well. I think Sahith was one of my last cuts, and Ryan Gerard. Ryan Gerard was one of my last cuts in my player pool last week. I'm telling you, Thorbjorn Olesen was my last cut this week from my player pool. Joel Damon isn't going to have 0.0 ownership. He obviously is going to be played and at mid-sevens. He was a late entry into the field, and Gabe just didn't have his ownership projected. But I kind of like a lot in the mid-sevens here. Like I said, I would take a look at Thorbjorn Olesen. Joel Damon's fine. You want to talk about accuracy? Keeps the ball in front of him. Irons, the 150 and 200 plus procs, very good. With Joel, it's all about the putter. That's what it is. Now, unfortunately for Joel, his par threes early in 2026 have been really putrid. So he's going to have to clean that up this week if he wants to play well around the Valspar. But his par fours have been immaculate. So good with the bad. But this guy, Joel is going to keep it more than likely in front of him. He's not going to hit too many balls wayward to where he gets into trouble with the water. So I like Joel Damon. I like Patrick Rogers quite a bit too. I had to be warmed up on Patrick Rogers, but I was talking with a couple of other people that I respect, and they were pretty high on Patrick Rogers. So I'll give him some consideration. Bud Cauley at 75 is fine. Good with the irons. 150 to 200 procs has been good. This is the tournament where Bud Cauley really showed out last year, really burst back onto the scene. So I like Bud Cauley. Austin Smotherman, 15%. Don't care. I don't care if he was 25%. I would play all of this Austin Smotherman. If Austin Smotherman does not play well this week, I will lose. I'm telling you right now, he's in 90+% of my lineups. I just believe his win is coming soon. He's playing way too well. And I understand that he is a poor putter, and that's an understatement. He's been really bad with the putter, especially lately. Lost 1.5 at the Players, lost 1 3/4 at the API. He did gain at the Cognizant, and that's when you saw him finish second. Lose 2, lose 1.8. The putter's not good. Granted, I will give you that. He's been immaculate with the irons. Off the tee's been really good too. I'm not concerned. He's played here twice. He's actually putt well here. He's comfortable on these greens. Now, that's not to say he's going to gain 4.5 or whatever, 4 1/4 again. You can't expect that. But if he's field average in putting, maybe gains a half a shot, combined with the new form that his irons are in, give me all of the Austin Smotherman I can handle. I'm going to be all in on Austin Smotherman. Like I said, I don't care he's the chalky play in the sevens. He's in 90% of my lineups. I'm just throwing the chalk out the window and all in on him. Just going to try to overpower the chalk, if you will. So, I'm going to play Austin Smotherman. I talked about Mac Meisner. Wouldn't quite have him 10th in my rankings if I were blind ranking these players, but he's got enough to be intrigued. Irons are good. Voids bogeys. Proximities are good. It's worth a look. Obviously, I'm much higher on Austin Smotherman. I keep waiting for Rasmus Nergard Peterson to break out. Picked him all in everything, basically, in Puerto Rico. He made the cut and then finished DFL of the players who made the cut. Still waiting for him to break out. I don't know if this is the best fit for him, but this is a very, very talented player, as shown by his top 15 at Oakmont last year. Like, the guy can play. I don't know if this is the best course fit for him, but second in greens when it's difficult. Long iron proximity, he's very, very good. He's a very poor putter, much like Austin Smotherman. He's just not in as good a form. So I'm going to play Rasmus Nergard Peterson, much to my chagrin, because I've played him a lot, and he's lost me a lot of money. But I can't quit the habit. And the last name two more names I want to give to you in the low sevens. Don't ignore Billy Horschel this week. I know this is technically Poa Trivialis overseeded greens, but they're still base Bermuda. Billy loves Bermuda. And he's actually been okay on the par threes. I know this number doesn't look great. He's actually been okay on the par threes. He's played here a couple times. He's done well. Don't ignore Billy Horschel. 7%. But the name that I really think is going to be interesting and useful to you this week, if you're willing to go there, a little bit of an unknown commodity, John Perry. John Perry burst out onto the scene at the Sony, played very well there. Another course that plays very similarly to Innisbrook, forced layups. Although you have more wedges at YLI than you do at Innisbrook, but fourth and good drives, especially when it's difficult. Number one, birdie getter when it's difficult, very difficult. A little bit of a small sample size issue here, fair, but has putt this surface decently, small sample size. So John Perry is somebody that I want you to really, really focus on and think about if you're needing somebody in the mid sevens. Again, I would really recommend Austin Smotherman, but if you want to get off the chalk and or you're looking for another player in the low sevens, take a long look at John Perry. Good evening, Turkey. Thanks for jumping to chat. Much appreciated. Looking forward to the Duke St. John's matchup. St. John's fan myself. I will tell you a little bit of foreshadowing to my answer in the poll. I was not happy with Duke's draw, but St. John's is playing well. I thought St. John's was pretty criminally underrated. Do not think they should have been a 5, but we'll see how it turns out. But it's good to see you in chat this evening, Turkey. Much appreciated. Hopefully you're ready for the Valspar, ready for any March Madness bracket stuff that you have going on. I know as soon as I'm done with the show and wrapped up my lineups and stuff, it turns to March Madness. I got to fill out mine to put in my contest and all that. But it's good to see you in chat this evening. Moving down to the sixes, I'm going to be honest with you. I've only come down here sparingly because I'm not playing a whole lot of Xander and Victor. And there's not a whole lot of like around down here. Even though Zach Blair rated extremely well, I wouldn't put him in my top 10. There's just not a lot of like down here. But I will mention Zach Blair did rate out extremely well. In fact, let's just take a very quick look at his page, shall we? At 68. He's only played one tournament this year, so it's an extremely small sample size. Okay, sorry. He's played in 2 tournaments, but 1 measured tournament. He played well in Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico is such a different animal than what the players are going to be seeing at the Copperhead course this week. Puerto Rico's wide open, windy, but slow greens, not really comparable. It's great that he played well. Now, Sony, he played pretty darn well, but this is what I was scared of for Zach Blair. If he really, really sprays it. His irons were great. He didn't putt well. Sure, fine, whatever. I don't know. The model really, really liked, the irons in the 1 measured event. He was really good from 200 plus in that measured event. Okay. If you want to take a look at it, it's fine. I'll give you a couple of other names in the 6Ks if you are down here. First is David Ford. He is looking like the most popular 6K play, so be mindful of that. But good iron player, Florida native, makes a lot of sense. He would be my top player in the 6Ks. And then he rated out well, but that's hard to ignore this course history. He is 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 the past 5 years at making the cut around here. Putnam rated out extremely well. This is a horrendous course value. He's just not played well here at all. So, depends on what you value. If you value course history, stay as far away from Andrew Putnam as you can. If you value the analytics, maybe there's some upside here, but Andrew Putnam relies on his short game, and that short game has failed him recently, particularly the putter. He hasn't gained strokes putting this season. 0 for 5. Now, the irons have been pretty darn good, which is not what you expect from Andrew Putnam. So, a little bit of an inverse here, but I don't know. I'll mention it because he rated out well. I would have serious concerns. I've used him once or twice in the mini lineups that I have. So, just wanted to mention that. All right. Let's start making some lineups. Figure out how we're going to maneuver around all of the chalk that's coalescing at the top of the leaderboard, and put or get yourself ready to make suggestions. We've done this for about a month now. We're going to try and crack the upper echelon of the birdie contest. We've cashed one time in 4 weeks. Let's make that 2 and 5. We're going to build a community lineup here very soon. So get your suggestions ready for that. If we're going to build what looks to be the most chalky lineup this week, our fellow contestants could probably go up to a 10K and Jacob Bridgman. Hey, good evening, Z Chronic. Much appreciated. Go Brooks and go Yukon. Two fans of teams in the region of where my fandom sits. It's March Madness. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's good to see you in chat this evening, Z. Much appreciated. Can you put the course history in order before we end? I'll do that right now, just very, very quickly. Again, I only go back 5 years, John. So don't go too crazy with it. But that is mine. Thanks, Z. Much appreciated. Like the Putnam call. I'm not in love with it. He's been really bad here, but analytically, or by the numbers, he's been good, or he's a good fit. So we'll see. Again, don't get carried away with this, John. Max Homa's only played once in the past 5 years here. So but he did finish tied for 6th. So don't get carried away with it. So there is a look at your sorted top performers, like Xander, 3 for 3. Justin Thomas is 5 for 5 in his last 5 years. Victor Hovland's the defending champion, 3 for 3. First, third, and a 33rd. So these are the guys who have played multiple times. Actually, I take that back. Max Homa, Brooks, and I think McCarty. I think those 3 have only played it once of your top, 7, 8, or however many. But these guys have played it well. And then scrolling down for you. These guys obviously have never played the Copperhead course. And these guys have been really bad at the Copperhead course. Some of these guys it's just one time. Some of these guys it's not. So be mindful of that. Like Rasmus Højgaard's played here 2 or 3 times and it's been really bad. Nikolai Højgaard's only been 1 time, but it was really bad. Aaron Rai was only 1 time, but it was really bad. So there you go, John. There is the sorted course performance. Continuing on with this chalky lineup here, like I said, our fellow contestants might be able to go up to a Victor or a Xander, but clearly the majority of them are bottoming out at Austin Smotherman, 15%, Max Homa. So it looks like balanced lineups are the way to go this week. Looks like our fellow contestants are kind of scattershotting everywhere else in the 7s. Clearly, Austin Smotherman is the commonality, but elsewhere in the 7s, it looks like whatever other 7K player that our fellow contestants are using, it's combined with Austin Smotherman. What's the next one? 9% in Aaron Rai. If we do like Rai and Homa, Yeah, this looks a little bit better. Brooks at 91. Rio at Satsune. 22%. Nick Taylor. This might be a balanced version. Nikolai, no miscuts yet this season. Good long irons, good putter. Very intriguing. Yes and no, Z. Yes and no, just very quickly, because he can hit some foul balls. And I worry about that. Although his off the tee's been better. It was really bad at the Players. Still finished top 30 because he was a magician on the greens. Can't expect him to gain 5.5 every time. If his driver returns to what it was before the Players, sure. This just doesn't feel like a great fit for Nikolai. I said the same thing last week, and he finished top 30. So I'm just lower on Nikolai, I guess. Z. Again, this looks like a chalkier, balanced build for our fellow contestants. If they're going into the 10Ks, we'll do Xander just because he is more widely owned. Looks like Brooks is here. I don't know if they're going to be able to fit Rio here. 71. There's not a whole lot at the bottom part of the sevens. Maybe Tom Kim. This isn't going to be as much total ownership as that balance lineup, but this could look like this could be your stars and scrubs build this week. David Ford is the most projected owned 6K player at almost 6%. Really, there's no one else in the sevens other than Smotherman garnering a lot of attention. So Tom Kim's the next highest in the low sevens. Rio's a bunch. Brooks is a bunch. Xander's the highest of Xander and Victor. So how are we going to maneuver around them? First way you can do it, you can get greedy here. Xander or Victor. I would prefer Xander, but you can go Victor, and you don't have to go into the 6Ks if you don't want to. I gave you several names, or a few names at least, in the low sevens to look at. Billy Horschel, Bermuda Billy. He's played well here in a couple tries. John Perry, my pet player. So if you're not as high on Rasmus Nergard Peterson, I understand. I'm going to go like John Perry. Let's go. Yeah, we'll do Nergard. Again, he's my pet player, so I understand. I talked about Zach Blair. He rated out in my top 10, Z. I wouldn't put him there. All of this is basically from one tournament. He played okay at the Sony, but his irons were great at the Sony. And then he finishes top 10 at Puerto Rico, but we don't get the stats for Puerto Rico. So he could have just put the daylights out and been, middling with everything else. We don't know. Again, I wouldn't get too carried away with it. This is all from just one tournament of the Sony. The irons were very good at the Sony. His 200 plus procs at the Sony was great. If you want to take a look at it, it's fine. I just wouldn't go crazy with it, even though he was in my top 10. Elsewhere, how we can, maneuver off a lot of this chalk. Like John Perry is going to be pretty darn unique. This is my pet player, so if you're not, all that big on Rasmus Nergard Peterson, completely understand. You can leave him out. But going to those two, you can easily fit an Austin Smotherman, who I am extremely high on. And then you still have enough here where you can go like a high 7 and an 8. If you wanted to do like Brooks or Corey Connors, you're going to get a little bit more chance of a duplication, but you can easily do it. Like Ricky Castillo fits in here, Joel Damon, Patrick Rogers. Like, compared to the Xander lineup that was Xander, Brooks, and whoever else we put in there being 95%, like this is, you're getting quite a bit of uniqueness if you're willing to go to Ricky Castillo. Like I said, my suggestion in the low sevens is John Perry. I'm just a sucker for RNP, but this could be like Billy Horschel. There's ways to maneuver around it. Did I like Spieth? It's not that I didn't like him. I like others around him. So he got squeezed out for me. I'm not playing much of Victor, and I'm playing no Jordan Spieth. If he plays well, I'll lose. I like Fitzpatrick. I love Brooks this week. Corey Connors has been a stalwart at Valspar. I can just get away from Spieth, is basically how that is. And then the other way to go about it, I've talked about it a few times, is the 999, 777. You go like Brooks, Corey Connors. It's going to be a little bit heavy in terms of ownership, but that's why you got to find a whole lot of uniqueness in the sevens. For me, I would go Matt Fitzpatrick here, just so that way I get off of the Jacob Bridgman chalk, what I'm expecting to be the Justin Thomas chalk, just to get myself a little bit more of a pivot there. But to go 999, 777, here's Austin Smotherman. We can go like Billy Horschel. Actually, Billy would go here. 7,500, Bud Cauley. Max McGreevy's worth a look. Mac Meisner. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options there. I'm actually going to list Bud Cauley here. I know it's a little bit out of order, but I wouldn't be too worried about this total ownership. It's really coalesced at the top here. Yes, Smotherman is chalky for his area of the price board. Don't care. I'm playing him in literally 95% of my lineups. So I don't care if he's 25% owned. I'm still playing Smotherman. I believe in him. I'm getting my uniqueness off Bud Cauley and Billy Horschel. All right, let's make a community lineup very quickly before we go to the 2026 Picks Challenge. And in the process of that, I will answer the poll question. Looks like the community is mostly in agreement. Each number one seed has at least one vote, but mostly everyone thinks that Duke has the toughest path to the Final Four, and I would agree. I thought UConn could very easily be justified as a 1 seed. I think they were deserving at a 2, but if they were put as the 4th number 1, I don't think I would have argued too much against it. I thought St. John's was criminally overseeded at a 5. I thought they deserved to be at least a 4, if not a 3. Michigan State's always tough. Izzo in March is always tough. Yeah, I thought Duke got a pretty difficult region for being the number 1 overall seed. So I would agree with the community in that regard, that I think Duke is the toughest pass to the Final Four of the number 1 seeds. Okay, let's make this lineup. Who am I going to executive order into this lineup? I'm torn between 2 players. I kind of want to put Rio in this. I kind of want to put Austin Smotherman in this. If we go Austin Smotherman, it gives us the capability to go up into the 10Ks if people want. So I think, and Austin Smotherman doesn't have to be our second cheapest guy or whatever. I'm just inserting him for now. I'm going to make the executive decision that Austin Smotherman is in here. And then I'm going to open it up to chat. Who and how are we going to build this community lineup this week? You like X over Hovland? I do, John. I do. I worry about Hovland and his lack of off the tee performance so far this year. Now, him clubbing down to use irons might help him, but the times he's forced to hit driver, I do worry that he's gonna spray it. He has not been good off the tee yet this year, and you've got to be in the fairway this week. So that is my concern with Victor. John also says Brooks. Z says Cantley, or Brox, I guess. I'll put him in here in case community wants to put Cantley. I just don't know where Cantley is. Cantley's never played here. He would definitely be a pivot, Z. There's no doubt about that, but I have concerns. So looks like we've got some votes for Brooks and Cantley. I've opened it up to chat. Just throw out some names. We'll put together a lineup fairly quickly, and then we'll end the show off with the 2026 Picks Challenge. I guess the next question we have to ask ourselves, are we going to go up into the 10Ks for X or Hovland? If not, that freezes up quite a bit. But you're also going to be getting a whole lot of ownership up in here. So do remember this is a multi-entry contest in which we're only going to have one lineup. So I have some uniqueness. I know I didn't help that with Austin Smotherman, but I'm just very high on Smotherman. So go ahead and throw out your suggestions. You know, do we drop into the 6Ks? Do we play one of the 10s? Otherwise, have you filled out your brackets? Who do you have winning it all? How big are the top salary golfer was in the optimal and GPP winner last year? P says Marty Doe. I'll put him down at the bottom. What's his price? It's got to be in the sixes, right? Yeah, 67. Great with the irons. Whole lot of red behind it, but he's been great with the irons, P. So, okay. All right. Don't hate it. Top salary golfer. I mean, yes, with Victor from last year. So I guess that means you are advocating for Xander. Then John, with that statement, would be my guess. Rogers and Nick Taylor both have played well without a top 10. They're due. Don't disagree. I like Patrick Rogers quite a bit this week. And admittedly, I had to be warmed up on Nick Taylor. Chat talked about him quite a bit Monday night, and I didn't see it. And then as I started looking more into it, started believing more into it. So I'll put both of them down. I'll say Taylor and Rogers. So John's suggestion, we're going to put Xander into this, which means we've got about 8,000 per player. And that's the beauty of locking in a mid-7 priced Austin Smotherman. So it gives us a lot of flexibility. Like we can go Brooks or Cantley if we wanted to. We could come down to a Nick Taylor, Rogers. If we were to go with P's suggestion in Marty Doe, then we can really do some interesting things here. 3 players. Let's see. What if Brooks, Nick Taylor? Oh, it's 100 left. Oh, see if we could have done those 3, I could have put Patrick Rogers here, but Rogers is 76. So there's P's suggestion. That's John's. What else? Who else do we have in here? Z said Cantley. Z said Rogers and Nick Taylor. All right, find one of these 3 Z to put in here. John says Paul Peterson. Echo says Zach Blair. Good Lord, we're Peterson, Blair. Like if we do a double 6 with like first let me check Paul Peterson. He was in the mid to low 7s, I thought, or mid to low 6s, I thought. Paul Peterson. Yeah. Not a whole lot to go on here, I don't think. Z says Damon. Yeah, I don't know about Paul Peterson. I'm willing to be incorrect. If Paul Peterson plays well this week, John, then You know, you can come back and tell me that I should have listened to you for the community lineup. If you do Joel Damon here. Hey, good evening, Joe. Thanks for jumping in chat. Much appreciated. Joe says Alex Smalley. Okay. Alex Smalley. If we do, he did great in Puerto Rico. We don't have the stats from Puerto Rico, so that could have been all putting. Have a couple of votes for Rogers. Like, if we did Zach Blair, like, this gives us Victor Hovland if people want to go there, like double 10, 2 7s and 2 6s. Otherwise, if we take off that, go to Patrick Rogers. Okay, so we've got some agreement on Patrick Rogers. All right, so with that, we've got 9,600. The only player we can't get is Fitz and Hovland. Who's going to finalize this lineup? I would be aching to stay away from Bridgman only because he's so popular. But if the community wants Jacob Bridgman, I'll put him in here. Again, this is a single entry lineup into a multi-entry GPP. So we're gonna have to try to find some uniqueness. We've done that with Smalley, Rogers, Marty Doe. If people want Bridgman, it's fine, but I would just advise against it. But who is this last player in our lineup here? Koepka from Echoes. How do we feel about Brooks? Cantley screwed me 2 weeks ago, so it only makes sense he top 10s now. How do we feel about Brooks? A little bit chalkier here, but I think this would be fine. Leaving a little bit of money on the table. Got some uniqueness with Smalley and Rogers. Very unique with P's suggestion on Marty Doe. We feeling pretty good about that? I'll put this off to the side. Brooks is good. I'll put this off to the side. I'm going to give you my core just very, very quickly, and then we'll cover the 2026 picks challenge. Gotta love Brooks. All right, seems like we're in agreement then, or community's in agreement. Fitzpatrick is core for me. Brooks is core for me. Corey Connors. And I understand this is not all one lineup. I'm just trying to show you who my core is this week. Definitely Smotherman. Rasmus. Peterson. John Perry. So these are the guys that are going to be most often in my lineups. Heavy green. Austin Smotherman's in like 95% of my lineups. Rio's probably in 60 to 75. Xander and Fitz are a little bit lesser. Brooks is a little bit lesser. But these are the kind of lineups I've been building. Xander and then a bunch of 7s. Fitz, Connors, a few 7s. That's the way I've been building my lineups. The 2026 Picks Challenge is very quickly. Gabe has a very commanding lead. I have not been good yet. I've got a lot of work to do if I'm going to defend my title. I'm going to pick Ryo Itsatsune to win. He was my first wager this week. When the odds boards came out Monday morning, I've targeted Ryo all week. I'm going to stay with Ryo. Gabe's going to take Justin Thomas to win. My favorite play, Austin Smotherman. Yes, I understand he's chalky for his area of the price board. I don't care. I think this is a great spot for Austin Smotherman. Gabe's favorite play is Brooks. I'm going to fade Victor Hovland. Understand what I'm saying here. I'm going to play Victor Hovland like once or twice, but I do have a lot of concerns about Victor's off the tee game, so I think it could get him into trouble this week. Gabe's going to fade Jacob Bridgman. That's pretty dangerous. I like Jacob Bridgman, so we'll see how that turns out for Gabe. Mad Scientist play. I normally don't like using a low 7. I usually try to go into the 6Ks for the Mad Scientist play, but there's not a whole lot I like in the 6Ks. So I'm going to go with John Perry at 7,300. He's very little owned. I think he's 4% owned. I think this is a good spot for him. Gabe's going to Mad Scientist Andrew Putnam, who rates out very well. he's going to ignore the course history because Putnam has been horrible here at the Valspar in mini tries. Did we have a community lineup last week? We did, Z. It did not perform well because we had Colin. That's much like everything I had last week. It blew up in my face because we had Colin. FOMO, fear of missing out, guy we're going to use in our lineups, even though we weren't too keen on it maybe early in the week. Chat talked me into Nick Taylor Monday night, and then I dug into his performance this year. He's been solid, not spectacular, but solid. So I'm going to make sure I line up, put Nick Taylor in a few lineups. Gabe's going to FOMO Sahith Theegala because he's just been playing so well early in 2026. And then our wild card category. This is our favorite, or who we think is going to be the top finishing past champion. The logic here says Victor Hovland, but because I chose him to be my fade, I'm actually going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Adam Hadwin. Adam Hadwin at 6,700, probably worth a little bit of a look. He's been playing better on the Korn Ferry Tour, so he's going to try and rekindle some magic at the Valspar. And then Gabe is going to take Taylor Moore as his top finishing past champion. That's going to be it for the show this evening. I got a lot of people to thank, so bear with me. I'm going to end the poll so I can see all of chat. But I'm in agreement. Duke has probably got the hardest route to the Final Four as a 1 seed. I need to thank John and Phil, Joanne, P, Echoes, Turkey, Z, and Joe for jumping into chat. Very, very much appreciated. Thanks to everyone else out there who tunes in, watches, listens, supports the channel by liking the videos, commenting, and subscribing. I always appreciate it. I love what I do. Taking a very in-depth look at golf statistics, giving you a statistician and data analyst view of what he sees, trying to help us all win a little bit of money in the process. We're going to try and return to the form we had at the API and at the Cognizant, and we're going to wash away the terrible taste in the mouth that we had from the players thanks to Colin's withdrawal. So we're going to try and get back on the right foot this week for the Valspar in preparation for the Masters. So thanks again for all the support. Very, very much appreciated. For all of the wagers you've made this week for the Valspar, for all the DFS contests you play this week for the Valspar, for this weekend and every weekend, may all your bets be profitable.